First at noon, it's opening day at the Hawaii State Legislature. Dignitaries, community leaders, and members of the public packed the gallery in the Senate chamber this morning as business officially got underway. The lawmakers are heading into the new legislative session with housing and affordability front and center, but budget pressure and possible federal funding changes could shape everything they do. Casey Lund went to the Capitol to see what leaders want to tackle in 2026.
A rather brisk start to the 33rd legislative session here, as we heard from lawmakers on both the House and Senate side as they laid out their priorities for 2026.
One of the bills our caucus plans to introduce this year is a crimes against kupuna threshold bill. So if you commit a crime against a kupuna who is above 60 years old, there'll be higher penalties that shall and will be enforced.
We definitely have to build more affordable housing, and we can do that by helping provide financing for the gap financing that makes it really difficult to build in Hawaii because our high costs and high costs of labor and bringing materials here. So we have to help. Government has to help developers to make this happen.
The Senate has always been supportive of Maui, its economic recovery. You know, we have funds there. Of course, Mayor has asked for the extension for housing in Haima. You know, as we look into some of the rebuild, it's, you know, the bottleneck is like some of the permits.
Yeah.
You know, if that moves, we can continue to get things going. We've supported businesses and funding. This year we're looking at some tax credits that could possibly help that.
Senator Jarrett Keohokalole talked about something beyond housing affordability and cost of living, although he said those were also his top priorities in this session. He also talked about a focus he's had for some time. That's protecting young people from the rise in AI and chatbots.
And what we're starting to see is that the outcomes for kids, teens and younger children is not great. There have been really scary instances across the country and in Hawaii. So we're looking at legislation to take action on that, following what other states across the country are doing. And the main thing is trying to keep kids safe from technology that they might not know is as harmful as it turns out to be.
We also heard from Native Hawaiian leaders in the Native Hawaiian Caucus about their priorities in 2026.
How do we support Native Hawaiians in this time, in this economy, knowing everything going on with the federal government? How do we make sure Native Hawaiians can, the $600 million for DHHL, there's now reports of how that money is being spent and where that money has gone. It's been spread across the Pai'aina, across the state, so we're really excited. And so whether that's turnkey homes, access to land, more and more Hawaiians are moving through the pipeline. That funding helped infuse and invigorate the department to serve more. Housing is a #1 priority for all.
Well, the session is already underway. Speeches are happening here in both the House and Senate. We'll have complete coverage in later editions on Hawaii News Now. Reporting at the state capitol, I'm Casey Lund. For now, we'll send things back to you.
Thank you, Case. Now, the new session comes after the state yesterday announced it has opened an investigation to find out which lawmaker allegedly accepted $35,000 in a paper bag back in 2022. As Dylan Ancheta reports, the FBI is finally willing to share its evidence with the Attorney General's office.
Thank you so much. The big question remains, who took the money and what was it for? Today, we are no closer to learning the identity of that person or their motive. However, we did learn that the state attorney general is now taking up a portion of this investigation after officials determined that there was no crime committed on the federal level. AG Ann Lopez has previously insisted she would not be taking on the case, instead leaving it up to the feds. But on January 16th, the federal authorities agreed they would hand over evidence to the state in this case, where an unnamed influential state legislature allegedly accepted $35,000 in a paper bag. It's still unclear if that money was a bribe or a campaign contribution of sorts, but lawmakers today called on the person to come forward. The legislative session begins Wednesday, which is increasing pressure as lawmakers want to know immediately if the person involved is a current sitting legislator or a former. That would impact the next steps in terms of disciplinary actions and anti-corruption bills that are being introduced.
Perhaps if the Attorney General did her job from day one and it didn't require so much advocacy on behalf of myself and my colleagues, then we would maybe by now know who this bribery, potential bribery recipient of the $35,000 payment has been.
It is a positive step forward that the matter has been turned over to the AG for investigation, but it hasn't answered the one specific question that needs to be answered, which is what the petition is all about, which is who is the legislator and is that legislator still sitting?
Now, a small handful of lawmakers have been very vocal in this, calling for transparency, but also said that some of their colleagues aren't pushing hard enough, and they hope that they will step up to get to the bottom of this. Now, this alleged cash handoff happened in 2022, and retired attorney Ali Silvert also said the statute of limitations is approaching next year, so time to find the alleged $35,000 bandit, as they've been dubbed, is running out. And in the news release announcing the state investigation, they said that they must preserve the integrity of this investigation. Therefore, the governor and the attorney general would not comment further on the matter. Outside of U.S. District Court, I'm Dylan Encheta for Hawaii News Now.
Dylan. Armed and dangerous. That's the warning from Honolulu police as they continue to search for an abused and escaped suspect, 37-year-old Tio Filusi Tongamoa. He was placed under arrest on Saturday afternoon after allegedly assaulting his wife in front of their young children. This happened in the family's Aiea home. Police say Tongamoa was handcuffed but then pulled away from the officers and ran off. He's described as 6'1", 320 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. If you see him, do not approach him. Instead, call 911 or Crime Stoppers at the number on your screen. Now to an update on the road rage attack on the Hana Highway. Maui police have arrested a 15-year-old boy accused of smashing the windshield of a tourist rental car last Friday. The boy's mother told us that he threw a bottle at the glass because the tourist drove at him during a confrontation. The tourist denied that and said the boy and his family were the aggressors and yelled racial slurs. The teen was booked for criminal property damage and was released back to his parents. A man accused of pretending to be an airline pilot so he could travel for free is now charged with federal wire fraud. Court records say 33-year-old Dallas Porkonik of Canada presented fake employee ID cards to get on hundreds of flights on 3 different airlines, including Hawaiian Air, over the course of 4 years. He pleaded not guilty yesterday and is set to face trial in March. President Trump arrived in Switzerland to meet with world leaders and deliver a highly anticipated speech at the World Economic Forum. Erica Brown has more from Washington.
As President Trump flew on Marine One to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, this message of protest saying Trump go home was carved out in the snow. While tensions remain high with European leaders over his demand to acquire Greenland, the president said Wednesday that he's ruled out the use of military force to take over the territory.
I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force.
Denmark rejected Trump's call for immediate negotiations to buy Greenland. But later in the day, the president said he may have a future deal with NATO instead.
I'll be discussing it with this man right here. Mr. President, he's frankly more important.
Trump posted on social media that the U.S. and NATO had reached the framework of a deal and added, this solution, if consummated, will be a great one for the United States of America and all NATO nations. In addition to his push for Greenland stirring concerns about weakening relations with Europe, President Trump used his speech in Davos to take some swipes at American allies.
They're destroying themselves. These beautiful, beautiful places. We want strong allies, not seriously weakened ones. We want Europe to be strong.
Shortly after Trump's remarks, the European Parliament suspended ratification of a trade deal between the U.S. and the European Union secured by the president last year. Erica Brown, CBS News, Washington.
Aloha on this Wednesday. Today is the start of an extended run of cloudy, showery conditions. A cold front is moving through, so we'll get scattered showers today. Also, the winds will run a little bit breezy at 15 to 20 miles an hour. And this is what we'll see likely through Saturday because another cold front is due in on Friday, keeping the wet weather up through the weekend. Now, the surface kind of leveling off for north and west shores. We're going to get another boost coming in on Thursday and an even bigger swell next week, Tuesday.
Hi. A scout camp on the Big Island has been sold to a mainland buyer. Daryl Huff says some in the scout community are frustrated they weren't given a chance to save the property.
State scouting leaders decided Camp Honolulu was too difficult and expensive to maintain and served too few scouts on the Big Island. But the speed of the sale upset Big Island scouters who hoped to save the camp.
This deal was made. How did you feel when you heard that?
We felt kind of betrayed.
The 238-acre Camp Honolulu between Honoka'a and Waimea provided generations of memories and advancement opportunities for Big Island Scouts. It's now owned by a mainland family who was searching for what their realtor called a legacy property in the area.
The sale happened so fast. We actually were given very little time to collect any personal or scout memorabilia or any other inventory from the camp.
During an interview in late October, the Aloha Council CEO explained that falling enrollment made it increasingly difficult to maintain Honolulu, but left the door open to saving it.
I think the key focus is that we're not focused really on sale. We're focused on trying to find partners in the community who can make this viable.
And we thought that meant that the decision to sell camp was not a final decision.
Becky Holt, a former Big Island Scout District Associate and troop leader, was among those trying to put together a nonprofit and raise money to save the camp.
There certainly wasn't even a chance for you folks to make your pitch, right?
Oh, no, we never got a chance to even say like, hey, we're forming this group. We want to keep this all together. Give us a little bit of time to come up with a plan to save this resource.
Today, Aloha Council CEO Blake Parsons told us, following your story about the property, a prospective buyer submitted a credible offer. The executive board reviewed that offer consistent with its responsibility to steward the organization's resources in support of the youth we serve. No additional purchase, lease, or partnership proposals were submitted between the October announcement and the closing of the transaction or prior to that. Parsons and the new owners say they've agreed to let the Scouts use the property for scheduled events through March, and they are looking for other sites for summer camping.
And I don't know where I'm going to have a camp. So what am I offering the parents that are looking to sign their children up?
Records indicate the purchase price was just over $2 million, and Big Island Scouters are hoping that some of that money could be used to purchase space for a permanent new camp. Daryl Huff, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Daryl. Ahead on This Is Now, amid ongoing anti-ICE protests in Minnesota, the Department of Justice is issuing grand jury subpoenas to some of the state's top Democrats. Plus, a new push for a statewide ban on aquarium fishing spurs opposition. We'll be right back. A major escalation in the battle over the ICE raids in Minnesota. The Justice Department has issued grand jury subpoenas to several top Democrats in the state, including the governor and Minneapolis mayor. Maggie Vespa is in Minneapolis with the latest.
The spotlight on Minneapolis is about to get even bigger, with NBC News confirming via a source familiar with the plans that Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to travel here tomorrow for remarks and a roundtable discussion with community members and local leaders. That's according to, again, that source familiar who didn't name names, meaning it's unclear which local leaders they're referring to and if any of them will include the top Democrats who yesterday received subpoenas from the Justice Department, including Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, Minnesota's Attorney General Keith Ellison, all of whom are now blasting the move. Governor Walz calling the tactic baseless and saying about the DOJ's investigation into whether he's impeded federal officers that it's, quote, political theater. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey posting, quote, every American should be concerned. Now, this comes as today marks 2 weeks since an ICE officer fatally shot Renee Good. At a press conference yesterday, the president saying about that shooting, he, quote, felt horribly when he found out what had happened. He called it a tragedy, and he also admitted in a separate comment that ICE sometimes makes mistakes, adding they're dealing, quote, with rough people. Although overall, the president defending the agency, defending the overall mission, touting 3,000 arrests in recent weeks, largely of people who he says had criminal records. Similar messaging from ICE and Border Patrol leaders here on the ground in Minneapolis. And when pressed about broader concerns about officers' tactics, including those who are detaining U.S. citizens, U.S. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bavino telling reporters those tactics are, quote, born out of necessity. I'll send it back to you.
A new effort to ban aquarium fishing in all Hawaiian waters. Ali Duklo tells us who's trying to stop the state from reviving the industry.
Yeah, the Hawaii Supreme Court issued a ruling more than a year ago that would allow for aquarium fishing to return. But while the state develops new rules, Hawaii Island lawmakers are trying to stop the effort in its tracks.
The council is making a statement on behalf of our constituents here on Hawaii Island.
In a unanimous vote earlier this month, a Hawaii County Council committee approved a resolution urging the state legislature to introduce a measure to ban aquarium fishing for all islands.
To have these fish taken by the hundreds of thousands per year to be removed for aquariums in New York City or elsewhere, we don't see that to be pono.
In 2017, a circuit court order temporarily banned aquarium fishing until its environmental impacts were studied. About 7 years later, Hawaii's Supreme Court ruled harvesting could resume based on an environmental impact statement from aquarium fishers.
It's something that we cannot ignore ever again.
Waterman Mike Nakachi has been fighting against aquarium fishing for decades, concerned the practice could decimate some populations, including the lauipala, the yellow tang.
I think we're at a tipping point here in Hawaii that we're having irreparable harm of these particular practices on Aina.
To avoid harming marine life, the Department of Land and Natural Resources has drafted new rules. They include a reduced list of collectible species, annual catch limits, location restrictions, and strict reporting requirements.
We support all forms of gathering and fishing, sustainable gathering and fishing.
Fisher Godfrey Akaka Jr. of the Native Hawaiian Gathering Rights Association is confident aquarium fishing can be done sustainably. He also says it's a lifeline for some fishers.
There was a lot of Kanaka who had businesses of aquarium fishing and they got shut down. The people that is in opposition, the environmentalists, they just coming up with crazy rules.
DLNR says it will have 2 public hearings on their proposed rules. Those meetings have not yet been scheduled. The Hawaii County Council will discuss the resolution again on Friday. Ali Iduklo, Hawaii News Now.
And let's take a live look outside with our tower cam. Guy's going to have your full forecast in 2 minutes.
Alert weather with Guy Huggy.
How's it on this Wednesday? Today is the start of an extended period of cloudy, semi-soggy weather. This cold front is moving through. Another front is due in on Friday. That's going to keep the damp, soggy weather going through the weekend. So for today, you see that front. It's bringing scattered showers, some brief heavy downpours to Oahu. Moving towards Maui County, it's going to stall over Maui today and then move towards the Big Island by tomorrow. So, we'll see some scattered showers. And along the front, we'll get some breezy winds as well. You can see the front getting with those stronger winds right there. And those winds will get to breezy levels today. That'll help limit the rainfall buildups because whatever rain comes in will also be pushed along very quickly. And that means limited rainfall totals. We're not expecting a big rain event, although it's going to be cloudy and damp for the next several days. And as far as the surface, kind of leveling off. The swell peaked last night. It's going to be running about 7 to 10. Good size still, right? You need to be experienced to be out there. Going to be a little choppier than it was yesterday. And then we've got another big boost coming on Thursday, below advisory levels, but near advisory levels. And another bigger swell coming in next week, maybe on Tuesday. So heads up on that. So again, cloudy, showery weather through Friday. Then another cold front comes in with another disturbance. That means more showers Saturday. Fewer showers on Sunday, much drier, sunnier conditions due by Monday.
More offices are going shoes off. I'm Bradley Blackburn with why they're switching to socks or slides for business and for health.
Aloha, I'm Annalisa Burgos here in the Hawaii News Now Digital Center. And coming up at 12:30 today, we are launching my new live stream show, Covering the Cost. As the legislative session gets underway, we'll sit down with nonprofit advocacy group Hawaii Appleseed to talk about a new online tool that compares how families in different parts of the state are faring when it comes to basic necessities and how that information can help inform government spending and policy. So catch Covering the Cost streaming on our website and wherever you get your podcasts and on the HNN streaming app. Like any other streaming service you use, except this one is local and it's free. Now, if you have Roku, Apple TV, or Amazon Fire, just hit the search button and look for Hawaii News Now. And we'll see you then.
Offices around the country are asking employees to take off their shoes. Bradley Blackburn explains why.
At the New York City office of AI startup Spur, the workplace looks like any other until you glance down at the floor.
I think this is the first interview I've ever done in my socks.
Co-founders Sneha Sivakumar and Anushka Nachalan have made their company shoe-free.
Gives a feeling of home where, this becomes your second home, especially when you're building a startup.
The hours we put in, it's just like not comfortable to have shoes on the whole time.
Just like in Shoes Off homes, you leave street shoes at the door. But here, Spur's employees and office guests can slide into custom-branded indoor footwear. No shoes is now a key part of their company culture.
We're all on the same team. We're all trying to do something together.
They're not alone. According to tracking website noshoes.fun, companies all around the world are walking the walk. The goal is more than comfort and culture, it's cleanliness.
It's actually pretty grim.
Indiana University professor Gabriel Filippelli tested shoes and was surprised to learn what we track in on our soles. It can pose risks for health.
Heavy metals, which can impact, particularly if you have children at home, can impact their neurological development, their brains, their organs. That dust and soil might also contain E. coli contaminants, which can cause significant gastrointestinal issues.
Data shows damp mopping helps, but he says leaving contaminants by the front doors of homes or offices just makes sense.